Excuse me. Hello and happy May. Welcome for the first time or welcome back. My name is Jody and I run this whole fandango. I completely procrastinated on this video. I was supposed to film this last night. I had the ring light that Tiffany gave me all set up, and then I just didn't film. So here I am next day, and the lighting's better, you know, natural daylight. So here's to hoping I get through this. It's finally May, and you know what I realized? May is quite the lit month. There are so many holidays and observations in May. There's Mother's Day, Memorial Day, Cinco de Mayo, and it's also Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander month. I thought for the month of May, I would choose books by AANHPI authors in celebration of this month. So that's what I'll be going through today, my May book picks. I would like to lead by saying I did not choose that many books because I am not a fast reader, but I did try to choose books based on different genres. Here they are, and I'll be going through each one. First, The Plotters, which is a thriller mystery, I believe. Then The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, which is like a fantasy folktale. And then Loot, which is historical fiction. And then The Kiss Quotient, which is a romance. I almost said contemporary romance, but I just think it's romance. And of course, there are tons of other AANHPI authors out there, not limited to the ones I'm reading. Feel free to check out some links in the description. I've linked other book lists with recommendations to other AANHPI authors. If you would like to peruse some other recommendations, feel free to do so. The first book that I'm going to read this month is The Plotters by Kim Un-soo. I might have already started it. I picked this book up in March of this year, but I'm just getting around to reading it. I can't remember where I learned about this book, but I did see it referenced again on my Instagram feed by Penguin Random House in honor of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander month. So it was good to see it recommended by a publisher company, and I finally am getting around to reading it. It's a thriller crime novel. The plot summary reminded me a lot of two assassin-based thriller movies I watched recently. First one being The Killer, and then the second one being Kill Poksoon. I believe Kill Poksoon also has to do with like assassination guilds, which is kind of what this book covers. And I really like those two assassin movies, so I was interested in picking up a book that was in the same line of assassins and crime, but in book form. Curious to see where this goes. Basically, The Plotters takes place in an alternate Seoul, South Korea. It follows an assassin named Ri-sang. In this world, there are assassination guilds. Behind every assassination, there is an anonymous mastermind working behind the scenes, plotting these assassinations, hence The Plotters. One day, Ri-sang fails to follow the intricate plans that the plotters set out, and then the whole scheme falls apart. And I think it just goes into him finding out who the masterminds are behind all these assassination attempts, and seems kind of interesting and thrilling. I'm not even halfway through, so we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited. I don't know what I'm doing. The second book that I hope to read this month is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie Oh, and this was actually a birthday gift from my friend Ada, who gets a very frequent shout out on this channel because her book tastes are impeccable. I always gift Ada books from her want to read list on Goodreads for Christmas or birthday gifts. She finally did the same for me for my birthday this year, so I shelved this so long ago. I don't remember why I shelved it, but I remember thinking the cover was so beautiful, and I believe it's based off of a Korean folktale. I don't think I've heard of this Korean folktale as a child, so I'm interested to hear a retelling of it. I believe the novel follows a girl named Mina, She lives in a homeland that is ravaged by deadly storms, and each year they sacrifice beautiful maidens to appease the sea god. And this year, her brother's beloved ends up being the one chosen to be sacrificed, but instead Mina decides to take her place. And these two books are written by Korean authors. I believe this is a Korean author, and this Axio might be Korean American or Korean, I'm not sure. It is my first time reading novels by Korean authors. It'll be interesting to see if there are any Korean words or references, because I'll finally be able to understand them. Overall, generally excited to see how the story flows from that perspective. The third book I'd like to read this month is Loot, a novel by Tanya James, and I saw this on both Goodreads and Penguin Random House's lists for books by AANHPI authors. I thought I would pick this up once I saw this at the bookstore, and I thought the cover was so beautiful. Look how colorful that is. It is a historical fiction novel by an Indian American author, and I know you're like, historical fiction, Jody? Like, didn't you say you were scared of historical fiction? Yes. But I loved Babel so much by R.F. Kuang, which was historical fiction, and I read that in March, that I thought I would try another historical fiction novel. And so here I am, picking up another. I believe this book is described as a hero's quest, a love story, the story of a young artist coming of age, and an exuberant heist novel that traces the bloody legacy of colonialism across 2 continents and 65 years. Loot is a dazzling, wildly inventive, and irresistible feat of storytelling from a writer at the height of her powers. That definitely hooked me, so hence why I also picked this up. I do really like heists in movies and books. That was one reason. And then, yeah, just the comment on irresistible storytelling that's wildly inventive. I think it'll be a really exciting book. And, you know, with the little mix of historical commentary will be good for me. Yes, so this is the third book. The fourth book I'd like to read this month is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. You know, I love myself a good romance novel, and I heard this one was spicy. Ada recommended this to me when I was looking for a book to get my best friend Tiffany. Tiffany loves romance novels, so I was asking Ada if she knew any good ones. I don't know if Ada read this, but she did say that she heard a lot about it and that it was quite romantic. Wink, wink. But I really don't know anything about this, actually. I saw this at the bookstore and was like, oh, I remember Ada mentioning that book. And so I picked it up because I thought I could read it and then lend it to Tiffany or gift it to Tiffany. Hence, here we are. I feel like it'll be good though. There is one more book I'd like to read this month if I have time. It's a memoir. I've been on a huge memoir kick lately. I kind of saw this and wanted to read it. It is Novelist as a Vocation by Haruki Murakami. I've read a couple of Murakami's novels a long time ago. I have A Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. I think I read Norwegian Wood in high school, also 1Q84. So I'm familiar with his storytelling, his characters in his books. Although I don't remember the specifics of each story and book, I do kind of remember the vibe and the fantastical elements in them. I thought it would be interesting to pick up Haruki Murakami's memoir. I recently read another author memoir, which was Stephen King, but I've never read a Stephen King novel, so this will be different because I've actually read novels by Haruki Murakami. I don't know actually too much about what his memoir will focus on, because Stephen King's memoir was a little bit about his life and recommendations on how to become a better writer. I wonder if it'll be in the same lines of that, but more maybe about Haruki Murakami rather than advice on writing. Hoping to pick that up if I see that in a bookstore, and if not, maybe I'll read it next month. But yeah, that's the 5th book I'd like to read this month if I have time to get to it. This ended up being a very short May TBR reads. I am choosing my own destiny by choosing the books I want to read this month. 4 books here by AANHPI authors in celebration of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Month. And maybe you can read one of these too. And if you have already read one of these books, let me know what you think. Or if you have any other recommendations for me, feel free to comment below. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble. See you on the next one. Bye.